Hey y'all, welcome back to the Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship. It's your girl, Coach K, tuning in with another dope session. Thank you so much for vibing out with us. If you have not already, please make sure you have subscribed to Upgraded Mindsets Media here on YouTube. But if you're listening on your favorite audio streaming platform, then make the Woman's Hustle one of your favorites so you do not miss these raw, uncut, and real episodes. If you see me on screen, then you see that I am not by myself, so I'm going to allow my guest the honor of introducing herself. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for letting me be here today. My name is Amy Filter. I am first and foremost a nurse of a very long time, probably 25 years now in the community. But I'm also a very passionate suicide loss survivor, having lost my best friend, 12 years this summer. That seems crazy to say. And because of that, a huge, strong mental health advocate. And now for the last 3 years, owner of This Little Light Breathwork, teaching people how to heal through conscious connected breath, connecting to their feelings, their emotions, and overall improving mental wellness, physical wellness, and spiritual wellness.
I love it. All things holistic.
That's right.
That is so important. We don't talk about that enough. So I'm super excited to dive into some deep conversation with you about this today, Amy,
Yeah.
because I know we've had, previous conversation. I know you're passionate about it. I'm passionate about it. And a lot of times as women entrepreneurs, we will put that to the side to try to, focus on the business, but we can't operate our business and our best being if we're not in our best being. So
Right.
definitely
Absolutely.
excited to talk more a little bit about that. So please, you did share a little bit about your backstory, but I'd love for you to go a little bit more in depth and what got you here where you are today.
Yeah. So if you're a part of that club, the Suicide Loss Club, unfortunately, you remember the date. My date was August 15th of 2013. Early in the morning, my best friend died by suicide locally in Bloomington. And really, since that day, my life's been different, right? What I learned through my grief process is that it is probably by far, I would say, besides the loss of a child, one of the hardest losses anybody has to endure. So with that, my nervous system was a mess. It was an absolute mess. And I learned through talk therapy, EMDR, all the things that I had some control over that, and that helped to a degree. But my biggest passion was when I found what helped me the most, which is that conscious connected breath work. And that ability to come into my own body after going through the depth of that trauma was something that I really can't put words to. I can remember the moment, I was literally
Right.
right around the corner in my house
Right.
when I did it. But finding that safety after having gone through that depth of trauma it's just priceless.
Yeah.
So that's what started it. And it's been a journey, as we talked about, ups and downs in my own healing process.
Absolutely.
But that is why I'm super passionate to provide this opportunity for others to see what healing it can really offer.
I'm absolutely, I love it. First off, let me just say, I'm so proud of you for taking the journey and beginning the healing.
Mm-hmm.
Because although we know that it's something that, you'll never get over, and I'll use those air quotes, I just can say that you actually taking that journey, not only for yourself, but also putting things in motion for others to be able to do the same thing. That's what advocacy is all about. Sometimes we do have to take our stories and turn them into inspiration for others to want to make those changes themselves.
Yeah.
So I really, really do appreciate you stepping in and being so passionate about wanting to do that, not only through advocacy work, through nursing,
Mm-hmm.
but also beginning your business,
Yeah.
because I know when you started that, I can almost guarantee that that was definitely right there in alignment with like, hey, I want to help this, but it's also for this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's many reasons why I'm still pushing, right? Still
Absolutely.
pushing on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it is. I know, and even with your line of business, I know you see a lot of people who are just kind of stuck in their grief and their
Yes.
traumas. I actually was someone that was stuck in that a lot. I suppressed my emotions so much. I love doing for people, love providing and being an aid and assistant for somebody for people, but the one thing that I wasn't that for myself.
Mhm.
And you know how we have this outdated belief that, oh, if I just pour and help everybody else, it's going to come back and help me in the end. Yeah, that's just not true. So,
No.
that is not true. And 2020 was that moment for me to really like say, I can't do this anymore.
Okay.
Like I really had to make that transformational moment. So,
Mhm.
um, with like can share a little bit more about like what you do when it comes to like our breath work and kind of tell us a little bit more how all those things connect.
Yeah. Um, so similar story to what you said. 2020 was yours. 2018 was mine.
Mm,
I pushed and I pushed through my grief. Um, really didn't do any therapy at all until my body was like, "You need to do something." It wasn't my
mm,
brain; it was my body that was
mm,
giving me signs of increased panic, increased anxiety, lots of dysregulations. So that was my awareness, right? That was like my wake up call. And then I found this program that I did out of California really through the course of frustration. I
mm,
was doing some mental health work in the system for about maybe 2 or 3 years. And because I wanted to start with my grief and put advocacy to work,
right.
right, in true traditional nursing, I found that we do a great job of putting band aids on and
Mm,
recycling the same story, the
talk
same
about it.
problem, and not creating systemic change, even today in 2025.
Yeah,
So
that's facts.
through a conversation, I feel like it was God led. It just kind of came up. I said, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'll try it. And so I tried it myself, and that's when I was able to say, "Whoa,
Mm.
where has this been?" And why did I know about it 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Because I found that stillness in my body, I found that safety, and I found a peace that I have never experienced before.
Ooh.
Side note, I don't really believe a whole lot in meds. Not that that's a problem, but for me, I don't take them because it alters how I feel.
Yeah.
But it gave me that sense of calm that I would assume medication can give to
Mm,
others. That immediate pop it in and you feel something.
yeah.
So I was able to feel that sense of safety. So that is kind of where it all began. That frustration that I had, the grief that I had,
Yeah.
seeing that cycle over and over and over again, and having these patients come back to me with still feeling pretty miserable,
Yeah.
but what else could I do? And going back to that
Yeah.
holistic piece, that the breath is ours. It's always there. It's always available. We just have to learn how to use it.
Yeah, and I think that let me be honest, like I agree with you because we've been systematically programmed to believe that medication is supposed to stop and take care of everything.
Right.
But we know some people don't want to talk about that, but
Right.
I have no problem discussing it that medication is not there to cure, it is there to treat symptoms.
Right.
And because all you're doing is treating symptoms, nothing is getting resolved.
Yes.
So I love that there are so many other resources out here holistically that one can actually explore. I love that you even said, you know what, let me try it because I'm tired of feeling this way.
Yeah.
Let me just try it out and see. Kudos to you for taking that step, getting uncomfortable and doing something outside of what your norm was looking like at that time. We are
Yeah.
so scared to do that, so fearful.
We
We
are.
are embedded to say, oh, no, no, this is how I'm used to doing things. Just because you're used to doing things that way doesn't mean that you still should continue to do things that way.
Yeah.
And I really love that you stepped out. When was it that moment that you decided, because we know you went through the process, when was that moment that you decided, you know what, I want to actually create this as a business and a brand and really officially be able to help others do the same?
Yeah. It was very rapidly. Like I said, that first, it was a 3 day trial where I
Mm.
was kind of practicing that for myself. Within that 3 days, and granted, the program was rather expensive. I had no idea how I was going to pay for it, but I knew I just had to do it because
Right.
it had such a profound impact on me.
Yeah.
So the program is 6 months, and initially you go through 3 months of doing it almost every day. So I like to say that because that means that there's an embodiment piece to essentially I practice what I preach,
Hey, come on.
and that there's safety in that.
Yes.
So it was 3 months. And then you have about a month of kind of dealing with what came up, right? Because it does bring up feelings and emotions and
Yeah.
essentially stored
Ooh, I
trauma.
can only imagine. Yeah.
So it was like I went through my own intensive therapy after EMDR and talk therapy in the process of trying to understand this modality. Then I was able to coach for 3 months with guidance. So within the first month or two, I knew
Mm,
based upon how I was showing up and how dramatically it was changing my life that I didn't have a choice. I had to bring this forth some way, somehow to the
yeah.
community.
I love that. The openness of wanting to bring it to community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we don't always have people, and I'm going to touch on what you said a few minutes ago about putting band-aids on things. That's a lot. We see that a lot in society,
Yeah.
right? We see it a lot as entrepreneurs, business owners in corporate America, especially in the medical and health field. I see it a lot as a cancer survivor. There is a lot of things that they want you to continuously ingest and take
Yeah.
for preventive measures. But how can you tell me that it's preventive measures when you have all of this stuff in our food and things like that that are cancer causing? So how are you telling me that? That's a little, hypocritical if you ask me, but hey,
Right.
I won't get too deep,
We
but
don't have
trust
time
me,
for that. Right. I know. Yeah.
but like just being able to step into your purpose. I love that you were able to identify that and understand, like, hey, this is something that I'm going to go ahead and explore further. You didn't worry about the financial side of things, right? Now I tell people all the time because they're like, oh, it is, it is about money. It is to
It
some
is.
degree, but if you lead with that, that's where your struggle is going to come into play.
Yep.
I'm not telling people that they should not want to, worry about their financial
Right.
well
Right.
being. But let's be real, when you have something that is aligning with your purpose, you're identifying with your purpose.
Mhm.
And sometimes you've got to put that to and trust that process. And I'm so glad that you decided to do that.
Yeah, as you bring that up, I was thinking during some of these sessions that I was doing, the very first day that we practiced coaching others, right, and then giving
Yeah.
feedback, I was so emotional because it was like I couldn't put words to it.
Yeah.
And the mentor said, "You found your home." And
Mm.
I just lost it. But it's true
Oh,
because I
yeah.
felt like I finally found my place through everything that I went through to feel like there is true purpose in giving that back.
I love that, Amy. I love that. I'm so
Yeah.
happy like to hear that. Like just to hear you speak about it, you can tell that you're so passionate about it. Now, when it comes to the services and stuff that you offer,
Yeah.
how do you like implement that within community?
Yeah.
Is it something that you have presented? Are you out here basically trying to say, hey, guess what? Is there any form of good feedback and bad feedback? I'd love to hear your insight on that.
Yeah. Um, I am open to any way, shape, or form to provide the service to the community. So, some things I have done that have not been received yet. Groups in the community, working with other mental health organizations, right? Trying to partnering with that because again, it's different.
Yeah.
So if the system's not working and what we're doing is creating just a cycle,
Come on.
let's consider a different option. Number
Talk
one,
talk about it.
that's a work in progress. We haven't gotten there yet,
Right.
unfortunately. So what I find myself doing is I have hosted a lot of groups with grief primarily. That's what I know best, right? So I do work with other nonprofits within Central Illinois
Mhm.
to handle and hold spaces for that.
I love it.
I think we spoke about. I'm finding that I am kind of creating a niche without really searching that out. A lot of women are coming to me with extensive trauma. That can look like anything,
Yeah.
the depths from childhood or something recent, whatever it may be. So, holding very gentle spaces for people within that environment. I also help kids. I've subbed at the local school district, so working with some kiddos. So I do groups, I do one-on-ones. Again, really trying to grow within the community to get people to understand, yes, on a smaller scale,
Right.
personal one-to-one, that is wonderful. But like you said, I'm so passionate that I just really want others to connect so that we can build bigger programs, do something more sustainable, have Central Illinois kind of catch up to speed, right?
That part.
The East Coast, the West Coast, they've been doing this for a while. The UK, they're on it.
Yeah,
We just need to kind of switch it up a little bit here
we do.
in the Midwest.
I agree. I definitely agree. As an advocate for NAMI, and actually even in the Midwest or the Central Illinois area,
Yeah.
we are definitely behind. I just recently went for training for a family support facilitator for NAMI, and up in that area, they are making so many strides. Like
Yeah.
they have so many resources available for those that have lived experiences. They have things that people be able to just walk in if they're in crisis,
Yep.
like that. To see that up in that area, because honestly, I didn't even know that that type of stuff was
Right.
existing in Illinois.
Right.
Like you said, the West Coast, the East Coast, they're definitely a little more ahead. But
Sure.
really, what I want people to understand that I want us to normalize the conversation surrounding mental health, mental illness, mental awareness,
All of it.
because we don't. Now, I'm not saying that us with mental health, because sometimes I'm actually noticing where it's like becoming a trend, right? Where people are
Mm-hmm.
just talking about it because it's trending.
Yes.
But you've got to find kind of your tribe when it comes to that. You've got the people that are going to talk about it, but you've got the people that may not be talking as much, but you see their action.
Yeah.
Like for you, you see action. You're like, hey, I've been in schools, I've been this. I really love to get into the group spaces. I'm looking for collaborative efforts. That to me is action.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have people that are just getting on social media with a post that's talking about it, but what are you doing after the fact? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. We can't change based on talk, right? The action has to follow.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree wholeheartedly. So, what do you think? How can individuals become better advocates for their own mental wellness? Like, what type of tips or insight would you give, especially us as women business owners? Because, again, I do want to talk about the fact that we will try to start businesses when our personal lives are in complete havoc,
Right.
which is where my niche comes in,
Yeah.
because I help align your personal with the entrepreneurial side of things. So, what do you believe that we could do to be better advocates for our own mental wellness?
I think first and foremost, the biggest thing is transparency, right?
Mhm.
We may get together in the group and act like everything is great, but when it really comes down to connecting with people and actually utilizing that transparency, we all feel like there's something that we're missing out on or something that we could have additional support in. Maybe it's not even business related, maybe it's
Right.
something totally different.
That's true.
But just to start with transparency so that you can trust that you can build that connection. Um, that's a massive suicide prevention too. Social connection, community, um, evidence based that shows that that helps long term
Mm.
create sustainable wellness for us. So I would say those are the two key things. And then finding time in your day. We're also busy, especially when we're trying to do our own things in business. We have a task list that's miles long, but um,
Absolutely.
today I was asked by a client, do you practice daily? And I do in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's an hour long every day. Sometimes it's just 10 minutes,
Yeah.
depending on what I have going on. But I integrate that throughout the day as well. Because when you think about the nervous system, it can real quickly stay over here or stay over here. So we have to constantly go back to realigning or at least having that flexibility.
I love it.
So I try to do what I can throughout the day, whether it's little walks, colder therapy as I wash my hands. I'm a big advocate for hot tea. I'm always drinking that warm tea. Um, but with that comes not rushing and drinking it, taking that moment to truly just settle, tuning out the world and allowing that silence to be and just to really calm our systems.
Ooh, yes. Oh my God, yes. I love it. That's like the first 30 minutes of my day is all about that. Like
Mm-hmm.
all about just really like deep in reflection of what the day is going to look like, how I'm going to visualize my day ahead,
Yep.
the, whatever achievements, whether it is goal oriented or me just being able to be my most mentally healthy self for that day.
Yeah.
It's a day-to-day process. And I tell people that often we have to be mindful every day. Self-care is not a luxury. It's a necessity, and
Totally.
it's something that you should be doing every day. Self-care is you just being aware of you, being aware of your body, being aware of your nervous system, being aware of your thoughts, just being aware.
Yeah. And that's what breath work takes you to on a
Oof.
much deeper level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it. I love it. We'll definitely have to get that tried out here. I definitely want to feel
Yeah.
like I need to try that out because, I do my meditation and things like that, but I'm always open for things that are going to, heighten me in on that level. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? Because I still have my moments, and I tell people all the time, I am not perfect by any means.
Right.
I can sit up here and talk about and advocate and talk about things to keep you positive. And I could wake up tomorrow and be like, oh my God, I don't want to do anything. But, the one thing that I've embraced about that, Amy, is it's okay to be that way.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will log off.
Yeah.
I'll tell clients, hey, I'm unreachable today, the next couple days. I need that time to reset for myself. And it's okay. I want us to understand as business owners that it's okay to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think between the two of us, we can speak to that. So, yeah,
Man,
I'm an open book. I
absolutely.
and that's I feel like what kind of helps build that trust too. Like,
Yeah.
don't hold back.
No, do not hold back. Well, I would just love for you to kind of share like one final lesson
Mhm.
or words of insight, words of encouragement about combining our mindset and our mental wellness, but also our business growth as well. Because those that are listening to this are either in the visionary stage of entrepreneurship, they're on the journey, but they may be stuck or they may be scaling. But one thing that I love about this podcast is it reaches every one of them to give them some form of motivational insight. So I'd love for you to share some.
Yeah, I think not to discredit the nursing profession, but I'll use it as an example. A lot of times women feel like they fall into certain categories and that's that. That's the way of life. I'm on this path and I need to stay on that path. I can't veer off. My biggest advice is to continue to listen to your heart.
Mhm.
And if there's purpose that continues to show up, lean into that, trust it, and be your biggest self advocate. Dream big.
Yes.
We're not meant to live in a world that's small. And that doesn't mean that every day in entrepreneurship is easy.
Right.
But if that dream is there and it keeps coming up over and over and over again, you kind of owe it to yourself to just take it day by day, bit by bit,
Yep.
break it up, but keep staying on the path.
I love it.
I was in sales for quite a bit, and this manager, it wasn't said to me, but to somebody through me, so I heard it. But he said, the best thing you can do is to keep getting your car out of the garage and keep driving forward.
Mm,
Because obviously in sales, you're driving a lot. So that's that.
I love it.
Take
I
it day
love
by
it.
day.
Yep, day by day. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So what's upcoming for you? Anything and insightful that 2025 is bringing for you? As we record, we're in towards the end of Mental Health Awareness Month, but for me and I know for you that's every day. So what's coming up for you and the business?
Yeah. It's not there yet, but I'm looking to grow a program, probably more for the niche of the women, like I was speaking about, that
Mhm.
have any sort of trauma that they're either feeling stuck with or ready to move past or to see it differently. So that's going to be coming. I'm working on my grief certification. So that
Love
should
it.
be done by the end of the year, hopefully. And just continuing to partner with communities. So continuing to expand within Central Illinois and hopefully even beyond that.
I speak it into existence and it shall come.
That's right. That's right.
I love it. Please let the listeners know, Amy, where they can find you at on social, website, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So it is This Little Light Breathwork. Instagram and Facebook. And then email is info@thislittlelightbreathwork.com.
I love it. And all that information will be listed in the podcast notes, guys. So you'll be able to get quick access to learn more about Amy, check out her website, learn more about the services that she offers. And if you are in the Central Illinois area, you'll be able to connect and bring some positive collaborations, which I know we need so much in our communities. So I so appreciate you being here.
I do too.
Continue to do what you're doing. You glow with it.
Oh,
I so appreciate you utilizing, the traumas of your past to be able to advocate for our future. So thank you for doing
yeah.
that.
I appreciate you for being an advocate as well with everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, we are going to get out of here. But if you have not subscribed to The Woman's Hustle, please make sure you are favoriting right now. Make sure you have subscribed to the YouTube channel, which is Upgraded Mindsets and Media. If you have questions, wanting to learn more about being a guest on The Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship, then make sure you reach out. Let's schedule a chat. Let's learn more about what you do and how you are empowering others through your business. All right. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Stay empowered.